Come on, get them shackles off him. Poor sod can't eat proper.
Dunno, I'm not sure I like that. What if he runs for it? He's worth a heap of coin.
Ah, bollocks. Been holding him a week, hasn't tried a thing. Why'd he up and bolt now? Matter of fact, got to thinking. What did a sweet, gentle chap like him do to get the Queen of Zericania so riled?
She's a shrew, that's what. Queen and witch in one. Worst of both worlds.
Enough about her. What do you say to one more of your tales? While we toss down some cards.
Ah, why not? And since you mentioned one queen... One day, the quartermaster approached with news to report. Alas, bad news.
You're great. Our food stocks have near run out. And about villages, folk have naught to spare, not even to trade.
The Queen dispatched small groups of scouts. They were to scour the countryside for hunting camps, beekeepers, charcoal burners, any souls willing to trade food for coin or goods. The first scouts came back around dusk. The last 3 detachments returned not at all. At first, Meve suspected they'd fallen prey to monsters, the beastly or Nilfgaardian kind. Later, she learned the men had left naught of their belongings behind. She'd been soft-hearted toward deserters. This lot decided they, too, would give it a try. That night, Meve lay still but sleepless. Beneath thin covers, she was cold, hungry, irate. Towering alders grow thick in Isgith, their crowns weaving an expansive canopy that obscures the sky. Any sunbeams to slip through this twisted thicket scatter in the milky mist below. Thus the marsh abides in a state of perpetual twilight, wherein a sense of time and direction are easily lost. As the force moved along, A glow appeared in the trees. The Lyrians squinted, their mouths agape in wonder. An orb hung over the water, pulsating, humming. It circled the soldiers, darted off a distance, then hovered as if waiting.
A will-o'-the-wisp, that is.
Whispered one of the footmen.
Believe it's keen to show us something.
Neve knew the wisp could prove treacherous, lead them into a trap. Nonetheless, she followed, though not entirely certain why. Her soldiers seemed eager, she sensed they approved. Yet she was also simply curious.
We follow it. Carefully. Weapons at the ready.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
Come here! Let's dance!
Aye. Should've listened to me, old lady. This harvest, we'll be reaping black-clad heads.
Come on, kill me!
My spirit's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me.
Watch your heads!
Feel any burning? See a local healer or wise woman.
Company! Forward march!
Left, right, left, right.
Ah!
Bigger they are, easier they are to touch.
As ordered.
Go, fuck up!
As today the day?
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
Can't take it anymore.
Ah!
Coin never stinks, no matter how rank the pouch.
Make love, not war.
As the wisp led the Lyrians down a narrow, winding path, Meve surveyed her surroundings warily. Beads of sweat emerged upon her brow. But her fears, in the end, proved unfounded, for at the path's end, the troops found what appeared to be a caravan's remains. Its wagons, rot-eaten, half-buried in the bog, had sat there for decades, perhaps longer. Despite this, gilded panels and scraps of silver-threaded fabric showed they'd once been rather ornate. Inside the wagons, the soldiers discovered many steel crates. Rust-covered but intact, they contained truly dazzling treasures. Sacks bulging with gold coin, pearl-encrusted goblets, exotic velvets and silks in beads.
Blimey, the sheer amount. And here of all places.
A footman muttered under his breath. Meve quickly pieced it all together. She too had once ridden in such a caravan, splendid and laden with gold, when she'd left her home to marry. The rest of the story was not difficult to divine. This was a maiden's dowry. She and her retinue lost their way. Isgith proved their grave, unbeknownst to any other. The wisp circled Meve's party, blinked several times, then faded into thin air. The troops resumed their march, and all seemed in order. Seemed, for soon several footmen were discovered to be gone. Greed had been their ruin. They'd grabbed too much. The loot had weighed them down, and the marsh had embraced them.
Yeah! Huh! Yeah! Ha! Yeah! Huh! Ah! Huh! Yeah! Huh! Ah! Huh! Ha! Ha! Yeah! Ha! Yeah! Ha! Ah! Yeah! Huh! Yeah! Yeah! Ha! Huh! Yeah! Ah! Yeah! Ha! Yeah! Huh! Yeah! Ah! Yeah! Ah! Ah! Ha! Ah! Ha! Huh! Ha! Yeah! Ha! Huh! Yeah! Huh! Ah! Yeah! Huh! Ha! Yeah! Ha!
In evading Nilfgaard's banners, Meve led her force into Angren's wildest reaches. The foe could not attack the Lyrians there, yet hazards of another sort befell them. One day they reached a quagmire too vast and deep to ford. So the Queen summoned her engineer, Xavier, and called on him to build a makeshift bridge. By nightfall, he had drawn up plans.
We shall start by laying abutments, then drive piles into the mire.
The depth?
We dropped plumb lines. 4 Ls.
Confused by the plans, Meve did not see as Xavier slipped a line off his shoulder. By the time she felt it on her throat, she feared it might be too late.
I long awaited this moment, when we would be alone. You die now, Majesty, and with you dies Lyria's, Rivia's, the whole North's will to resist. Hail, Ketzer! Hail!
What died was the Nilfgaardian rallying cry in Xavier's throat. At the last instant, Gascon and Reynard rushed in to save the warrior queen, and thus proved their loyalty beyond any doubt.
Your Grace! Your Grace!
There was no answer, but Reynard could hear her breathe. Meve would live. It was several hours later when Meve finally came to. She opened her eyes, then Gascon and Reynard helped her to her feet.
Careful, Your Majesty.
I should have been more careful earlier. Damn it. If you two hadn't...
No need for words. You needn't mention it.
I couldn't disagree more. We're due for a long conversation. First of all, I owe you thanks. Second, my trust in you both has been heavily tarnished. I believe that goes without saying. Yet today you proved beyond all doubt that I can rely on you. So I thank you.
To serve under your banner, Majesty, it is an honor.
Likely I'd have put it differently, but Reynard seems to have the right idea.
Very well. We've reassured ourselves of admiration for one another enough. We've matters to which we must attend. I trust as I lay there dead to the world, you did not sit about with your thumbs up your bums. Have you at least learned why Xavier betrayed us, sided with the Empire?
In a manner of speaking, yes.
Your Grace, the rogue who lunged at you, in truth, was one Gwalter et Luinoch, a Nilfgaardian spy.
Just a moment, that makes no sense. He saved my life in Mahakam, on the bridge.
He did, for he had to.
In one of the letters we found, Dahi orders Gwalter to watch over Elder-in-Chief Hoog. The Scoia'tael in the mountains was sent there by Nilfgaard to recruit dwarves, but their commander, the Vixen, they feared she'd attack Bruva himself, something Dahi wished to avoid.
Naturally. For someone else could seize power, someone not so neutrally inclined. Someone more likely to aid me, gods forbid. This discovery you made how?
We found in his toolbox a concealed compartment, letters inside. Though encrypted, we managed to decipher them. They were the Grey Rider for you to read.
The swine. An Imperial spy in my ranks this whole time. But to wait so long to strike, why?
He'd only just received the order. Another letter in the box, signed by General Dahi, stated, "To Gwalter et Luinoch, eliminate M at first opportunity."
Honourless bastards. They'll stop at nout.
Now, Meve, you'll gain nout by getting riled. No sense to it. This is good news, in fact.
Is that so?
Think. Dahi had a spy in our midst. He knew our movements, had his eye on us, his finger on the pulse. He knew our plans, who we parlayed with, and yet he didn't order your assassination. For you posed no threat. Well, clearly so much changed. Congratulations! Nilfgaard fears you now.
And rightly so. But we found him in the rubble at Rosberg, midst the ashes.
Precisely what placed him beyond suspicion.
We suspect Gwalter enlisted with the Edanians some years past, infiltrated that army.
He had a hand in Rosberg's defence. Then, when the time was right, he lent that same hand to its demise. Caused an explosion that tore a hole through its walls. It worked, but at a price. He suffered severe burns. If not for our medics, he'd have...
Stop. So it was not elves who brought about the fort's fall as he claimed?
A filthy lie to stoke the fires of racial hatred, to stir conflict and chaos and rage that would make the realm of Edirn waver and fall.
If we're to judge by Rayla's actions, he was rather successful.
Bastard. Yet even so badly hurt, in such pain, not for a moment did he drop his mummer's act.
I've heard much of Nilfgaardian spies, Your Grace. They're trained from childhood, face constant indoctrination. They do anything for the Emperor, anything and everything. As soon as Gwalter spotted a chance to join our ranks, to be at your side, he took it, exploited it ably.
To be brief, I've traitors all about me.
Your Grace, you resent our actions, I understand, but...
You, Willem, the Cad Caldwell, Gascon, Gabor, finally Xavier. Tell me how. How am I to trust anyone?
You can't. Amongst all the realms in the north, you're Nilfgaard's sole rival. One remaining threat. All other rulers either soundly defeated and enchained, or tails tween their legs, they've donned Nilfgaard's leash. The Black-Clads will do all to destroy you, if not upon the field, then in secret, with an assassin and a quick, sharp blade.
What's left? Prayer. Melitele too is sure to turn and take Nilfgaardian gold sooner or later. Ugh. We've talked enough. We must form up. Move on.
Majesty, you ought to rest. You stand swaying. Your step can't be too sure.
Only my horse needs step true.
Maeve, you've just about had the life choked out of you. No time to play the hero.
I'm not Gascon. Quite the opposite, actually. These damn swamps, they terrify me. I wish to get the hell out and never, ever look back.
The Aruga lies near. I sent scouts ahead. They've secured a barge. We can sail to Red Lobington.
Splendid. Sound the horns. We march.
Sandflies and mosquitoes blanketed Maeve's face and neck. She did not bother to brush them away. She'd been in Angren long enough to know more would come in their place.
Your Majesty,
Reynard called from behind.
our scouts have returned. We've a large force of blackclads on our tail, infantry and horsemen, and they draw nearer.
Blast!
Maeve wiped away the sweaty hair stuck to her brow.
What say you, Reynard? Shall we give them a fight?
We're but a few miles from the river where a barge awaits. It makes no sense to battle now.
Though near her strength's end, Maeve stepped up her pace. She could not wait to stand upon a barge deck and leave Angren's infernal bogs behind. Alas, in place of the promised vessel, they found only severed moorings.
No! No, it can't be!
Suddenly, Maeve drove her fist into the trunk of the nearest tree. Fortunately, a soft and rotted one.
This isn't so!
Your Grace, have mercy. I stepped away but for a spell.
Croaked a scout, pale as a ghost.
And thieves jumped out the underbrush. Fell upon it. Whole band of them. A white-hair warrior. A minstrel. And a lass. What had a bow.
Well, is that all?
Interrupted Gascon.
No vampire sat upon an ass with no saddle? You cocked up, man, damn it. Maeve, what now?
The Queen turned back towards the swamp. Between the trees, she glimpsed a golden sun glimmering upon a banner.
We shall discuss that later,
Said the Queen, drawing her sword.
provided we survive. Everyone, rally to me! Drive them back!
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
Again and again and again.
Wise choice.
May disgrace ends here! Time I wiped it away!
Very glad!
My spirit's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me.
Order!
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to sigh. Ah, should have listened to me old lady.
Move in, Igloire!
Come on, kill me!
life is mine now.
This harvest, we'll be reaping black-clad heads.
Wise choice.
Hey, guy, up there!
Nothing personal, I assure you.
Gloire!
Exzellent, Zweifel!
Herzer.
Yes. Exzellent, Zweifel!
Herzer.
Hail, Kerze!
My boots got sand plenty.
Your Grace, that was but their vanguard.
Near the battle's end, Meve faced a black-clad officer. Nimbly dodging his strike, she countered. The Queen's sword sank deep, the hilt rattling his breastplate. A rush of hot blood covered Meve's hands. The winged helmet toppled from the officer's head, exposing a sweaty face, gasping for breath.
Min! When?
Before the Queen stood a ruddy-haired boy with long eyelashes. He was Willem's age, perhaps a bit older. His body slumped, then disappeared beneath the malodorous foam atop the murky waters. Meve cast away her sword as if it had burned her hand.
Majesty, what is it? Are you hurt?
Reynard said, rushing to her side.
No, I'm not. It's fine. Give the order to march. With no barge, we must walk to Red Lobington along the riverbank.
Your Majesty, we must tend to the wounded. Use the rest of the day, I wager.
We ain't time enough for that.
Interjected Gascon.
That was but the vanguard sent in pursuit to slow us down. And even so, they outnumbered us 2 to 1. What happens when the main force arrives? We must flee. Now.
And abandon the injured, to bleed to death in the mud.
Alas, Reynard, yes. Unless you'd rather we stayed and died with them.
Gascon is right. Should Nilfgaard close the distance between us, we'll stand little chance.
Phew. At least you've the sense to...
But I would sooner perish than let my men rot in this accursed swamp. The medics will tend to all the wounded. Then, what will be, will be.
I tell you what'll be.
Snarled Gascon.
Epdahi'll take a butcher's hook and gut you. Then hang you from Lyria capital's walls. Yet, if this be your wish...
Meve waited for the medics to sew the last stitch, tie off the last bandage. Only then did she order her force to move out. At the column's end, upon stretchers, lay those without the strength to walk, consumed by fever, dazed or unconscious, dying. Fatigued and laden with the wounded, the Lyrians moved slow as molasses. Soon, Nilfgaard's forward elements had caught up. The black-clads nipped at the Lyrians' tail with arrow volleys from the cover of trees and occasional forays by cavalry. They were in no hurry. They could torment their foes, weaken their spirit before the final clash. At long last, Meve spotted a dark form spanning the river's course, Red Lobington's bridge. Just a brief stretch more, and the Lyrians would find themselves beyond the invaders' grasp, free and clear of bogs, and the beasts that prowled them. Yet joy at this sight soon gave way to despair. The bridge was dark, black, from the horde of Nilfgaardians that held it. Clearly the Blackclads had divined the path of Maeve's flight, and had cut off her last means of escape.
That's it. We're dead men. All! They'll cut us down to the last!
Maeve shut her eyes, felt them sting with fatigue. She knew when she turned she could not show her men 1 ounce of fear, 1 pinch of doubt. She gripped her reins tightly. The leather dug into her skin, helping her hold back her tears. And when the Queen finally spoke, her voice was strong and boomed over the river's roar.
I know what you wish to hear.
The Queen began.
That the gods watch over us. That we'll come through the fray unharmed. That a friendly force is but moments away. Those would be lies. The truth is as bitter as it is undeniable. We stand cornered. Cannot win this fight. Cannot flee it. We can but choose how to die. Hanged from the boughs like common criminals. Or weapons in hand, like the fighters we are. I've made my choice. Time you made yours!
With that cry, Maeve broke for the bridge toward a forest of spears into a deluge of arrows. She let the tears fall from her eyes. Tears of rage, fear, fatigue. It was not until she'd almost reached the enemy line that she dared glance backward. And she saw she was not alone.
Defend the Queen! Valyria!
Barbarians.
Water as a poison.
Think I'm a beer! Don't need no weapon!
I warned you.
We may die here today, but not on our hands and knees!
Don't shoot!
Shoot! We're friends, not foe!
Damn it, just gets better and better.
To the bridge! Cut away back to the bridge! Bolster the defense!
Thing about slings, they hide well.
That was not in the spell books.
An army's a waste of time for me like me.
Quick and painful this'll be.
Should've listened to me, old lady.
I'd hoped we could solve this some other way.
Life is mine now.
This harvest, we'll be reaping black-clad heads.
This could hurt.
My boots got sand aplenty.
Death is only the beginning! Eddard Fane!
Watch your heads!
Elherzer!
Yes.
With pleasure.
Zweifel!
I think you'll really like this one.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Your Majesty, no!
I've lost my tooth. Foot of a whore.
My spirit's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me.
Left, right, left, right.
Waiting for a personal invitation?
We must trust each other.
Everything all right?
I've hit the white of an eye from half a league away. Order! Bigger they are, easier they are to tag.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
A highly curious case.
Can't take it anymore. Quiet, or the commissar will hear. Don't fuck up!
Pedroto dum anime est, spes est.
Ugh! Scheiß! In zwei!
My prescription, a bit of bloodletting.
Fall back! Below it!
Meve was victorious on the banks of the Yaruga, but paid dearly for it. She lost a host of men and suffered harm herself. Yet she'd have been doomed, if not for a certain white-haired witcher. Meve longed to meet her mysterious savior and set off in search of him as soon as the battle dust had settled. She found him with the field surgeon and learned he was none other than the Witcher Geralt. Yes, incredible as it may seem, I've heard the tale from several and can vouch for its truth. At any rate, making naught of the fact that Geralt's ears were ringing from a blow with a mace, Meve began immediately to interrogate him.
You for Thronebreaker?
Asked Meve, prodding him insistently. For a spell, Geralt worried his hearing was shot, but then realized the Queen had a lisp.
Worked out that way, I guess.
You guess?
Meve gagged on the blood in her mouth.
Someone hold me!
The Queen felt Geralt merited the highest honor, a knighthood. Another monarch might have delayed until a more opportune time, but not Meve. Meve delayed nothing.
Count Odo, you, sir, do the honors. Alas, I cannot because of my tooth.
For valor shown in battle, I, Meve, by the gods' grace, Queen of Lyria and Rivia, hereby do knight thee.
Geralt of place unknown. The bridge you felled with men from Rivia. Or so you guess. I guess it falls to me to dub thee Geralt of Rivia.
Meve had come home, though by a circuitous route, through Edern's smoking embers, Angren's beast-infested quagmires, cross Mahakam's snow-capped ridges. But she had returned, cloaked in legend, a mighty army in tow. The moment was weighty, and not to be tainted even by Geralt of Rivia's disappearance, or dare we say desertion. The hero of the battle for the bridge was now a sought man. Yet Meve was determined to take back her realm, with or without the Witcher's aid. The Lyrians' daring escapade behind enemy lines, and the triumphant victory at the battle for the bridge that crowned it, breathed new life into the North's war effort. Bands of resistance fighters now swarmed the conquered lands, while Kedwin and Redania, on the verge of swearing fealty to the Emperor, suddenly broke off talks with the invader. The Nilfgaardian war machine suddenly screeched to a halt, and the tide of war turned. Facing a united North, the invader had to withdraw the bulk of its forces from Lyria and Rivia. The way was cleared for Meve to retake her lost lands, defeat General Epdahi, and depose Willem, Or perhaps mother and son would not have to fight after all.
Milady, I come at King Willem's bidding.
Prince Willems.
His Majesty proposes a meeting. No arms, no escorts.
His Majesty? Whelp's barely tall enough to reach his mother's bosom. For shame!
Silence. Let him say his piece.
His Majesty, Willem I, wishes to discuss the possibility of a truce.
He wishes to surrender. Is that his aim?
Your words, not mine, Your Grace.
I've a few more on the tip of my tongue. But save them I shall for later.
Willem I's chosen the site for the parley.
Willem I will choose nought. If he wishes to speak, let him meet me midst the ruins of Devil's Tower.
Understood, Your Grace. I'll relay your terms.
Willem's emissary rode off, serenaded by hisses and jeers. Frightened by the clamor, his horse reared and kicked. The rider forced his mount to obey with cracks of his crop, striking many more times than was necessary.
The fool. Nag'll toss him off first chance it gets. Soon as he loosens the reins.
No great loss, I wager. But tell me, your thoughts on this reunion?
Sounds a ruse to me. But I know that won't stop you.
Whence this certainty?
Come now, Maeve. At the end of it all, he's your son. You still care about him, it's obvious.
You're absolutely right.
Perhaps let bygones be bygones. Perhaps it's not too late.
Only one way to know. Let's go.
Maeve rode out clad in golden plate, her banners waving proudly overhead. She no longer led a band of ragtag partisans, but an army able to fend off an empire and drive its soldiers from her lands.
Ma'am, I've something you must see without undue delay.
You need my help with anything? Anything at all, I've ideas aplenty.
Long you've travelled, Barnabas. The wonders you must have seen. Likely visited many exotic lands before you reached Mahakam.
Corvia, yes. Matina, yes. Nazir, Zeracania, gods, yes. And Korath, even. I mean, such beauty there, though hot. Oh, dreadfully so. Horrible place to grow turnips, if you've ever a mind to try. Novigrad, lived there a spell as well, but I didn't much care for it.
Why ever not?
The hierarch, intractable man, banned one of my inventions, condemned it as unholy, vile, etc., etc. Decided he would burn both of us at the stake. As you can imagine, we had a difference of opinion in that regard.
Perhaps I shall regret this, but do tell. What was the thing you created exactly?
I knew you'd be interested. You've a curious mind, dear Queen. We're two peas of a feather. Quite the clever contraption it was. Made for a widow, wealthy but aching with longing. In her husband's absence, tormented by unfulfilled needs.
Stop right there. I knew I'd regret asking.
See, it had this special crank that when rotated...
Barnabas, no, enough.
As you command, Your Majesty. But if you ever get the urge to see it, I've the prototype still tucked away in my trunk.
Noted. But by the gods, please, let's change the subject. Time I attended to other matters.
Ah, yes, you're still here. Off you go, then.
Huh? What is it now?
So long, Arnulf.
Hey-ho, how's my favourite queen in the north?
It's time I attended to other matters. Farewell.
Yes, Your Grace?
It's time I attended to other matters.
I'm pleased to see you again, Mom. You need something?
Duty calls. I must go.
Of course. Should you need me, I'll be here.
Never thought I'd see the day. The Queen's returned. Know this, Your Grace. Blackclads have shut themselves up in our cities. They give no hint of surrender, show no sign of giving ground. My. What'll become of Prince Willem now? We've gathered donations to support the war effort, helping best we can to beat those black-clad devils. Know this, Your Grace. Blackclads have shut themselves up in our cities. They give no hint of surrender, show no sign of giving ground. My. What'll become of Prince Willem now? My. What'll become of Prince... Know this, your grace. Blackclads have shut themselves up in our cities. They give no hint of surrender, show no sign of giving ground. My. What'll become of Prince Willem now? Never thought I'd see the day. The Queen's returned. Know this, your grace. Blackclads have shut themselves up in our cities. They give no hint of surrender, show no sign of giving...
Rivia. And here I feared I would see it no more.
I believed you would. I believed you could succeed, be victorious, your grace.
We've not arrived just yet, Reynard. Look, black flags still flutter over the cities. We've yet much work before us. More battles to fight. More blood to spill.